Welcome back to MMAOddsBreaker today. We have victorious Michael McDonald. Just had a great fight, like an epic battle on an epic card, really, against Kanehara, Masanori Kanehara. This was obviously with the main event of Lawler and Condit. Mike, what's it mean for you to have a great fight like yours on a fight card like that? It seemed like the energy was incredible even before you walked out.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice to get a bonus on such a high quality card because that means that I mean it's not like before where you got bigger paychecks for bigger cards, but it's still a nice thing that with all the amazing fights that day, still got a bonus. Kind of feels a little bit like when I was in San Jose, I fought Alex Soto. I got the knockout of night bonus. That was Dan Henderson and Shogun Hua, one of the best cards ever. So that was an amazing one to get a bonus too.
I mean, there have been so many, and I say this a lot, and so a lot of people at home be like, oh, he's saying it again, but you have to give props to Joe Silva and Sean Shelby for getting the cards put together and getting these matchups made. As the sport's grown, they've actually grown their role and got it better. Do you feel like sometimes they call you or call your manager and go, hey, we want Mike to fight this guy. This is like the next guy in line for him. And in the back of your head, you're kind of like, they just want me to fight this guy because it's going to be another bang-up. It's going to be another brawl of a fight. It's going to be high energy for the crowd. Everyone's going to get behind it. Do you feel like sometimes that they give you guys specifically to make it another great high-action fight?
Well, I think in general, I mean, that is their job to give the fans what they want to see. And often the fans love to see those just brawls. No one likes to see a boring fight, So it is their job to get the nice, the exciting fights. But I've never personally felt, pressured. But I do all my business directly with Sean. Usually, I haven't actually talked to Joe. Sean's always been very respectful and asked me how I'm doing and how's the body feel. So I've never felt pressure, but absolutely, I mean that's their job to give them the fans the most exciting fights possible, and they always do a great job at it.
And for the folks at home that don't understand, the reason why I only talk to Sean is because Sean handles a certain amount of weight classes, and Joe handles a certain amount of weight classes, and Mike's weight class is handled by Sean, so that's why it's Sean and not Joe. But obviously on that card with the heavyweights and with the middleweights and with the welterweights that are on that card, that's all Joe, and then Sean handles the lighter weights and the females. So, but I want to go back to something. Is it really their job to give us the most exciting fights, or is it more their job as matchmakers to put the people in line that deserve to be in line? Because if people want to see these great, if the fans, we're idiots. We want to see whatever we want to see. So then you have a guy like, let's say, the number one guy, the champ. All of a sudden, the fans want to see the number 12 guy fight. But number 4, number 5, number 2, number 3 have all worked their asses off to get in line. And now all of a sudden they're getting skipped over again because the fans want to see this huge fight that really at the end of it, when the fight's all said and done, could not have been a great fight. Doesn't really matter because these other 4 or 5 guys all got jumped.
It's possible. I mean, it's a really tough subject, man, because you see some. It's not always just about the competition. So I mean, you've been in the game a long time. I mean, it's a tough thing to do. I mean, with all the, I wouldn't exactly call it politics, but exactly, it's a really tough thing to talk about. With like, this guy just fought for the title, so he's ranked above this other guy, but the other, the number 4 guy is getting a title shot, but he's not ready yet. Maybe he's not healthy. The timing's not. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. It's so hard to say, man. I'm glad I don't have those guys' job. They got a very, very tough job, and they do an awesome job for what they have. But it is an interesting thing that it's not always, 1 versus 2, 2 versus 3, on and on.
And you actually stated a great point that I actually was going to talk about, but you already said it, that there is so many factors that go into this. Timing. Is this guy healthy? Is he healed? Is he just coming back from a honeymoon? Did he just have a birth of a baby? Did he just how long ago did he fight the champ and lose? Like now what happens? It's like that. There's a lot of factors in there. Man, it's a tough job. But they seem to be matchmaking you incredibly well. They make you reach to your new potential every single time that you fight. They never give you an easy matchup, but they also give you something within reach. So I want to go back to the Uriah Faber fight, which was the fight just before. You lost by guillotine choke. It was a reach that you could have won. You could have beat Uriah. Like you have the mindset, you have the skill set, you have the athletic ability to beat Uriah Faber. But what happened from your point of view during that fight that, I mean, obviously Uriah, finally gets the rear naked choke in, or gets the guillotine choke in, but there's a lot of things that happen, like you said, before that even gets there. What happened from your point of perspective in that fight?
Well, I think it's I think you learn the most from your losses. I know for myself, those are the biggest, you know, launches in my career was my losses, because there's such a huge list of things that you can correct after the loss. And it's hard to see them beforehand, because you're just sometimes ignorant or blind to it or whatever. For the Faber fight, I can say that I think the biggest problem was I was trying to, all the way up to it, I was trying to be anti Uriah Faber instead of just being Michael McDonald. How, looking at the way that he fights, watching tape of him, seeing what he does. This guy's got the best guillotine in the world, so I'm not going to be taking him down. He might be going for takedowns on me, and so I might not be throwing a lot of low kicks on him because he might be going for those. He's got a really good cardio, so I want to make sure that I pace myself. He's never been submitted, so I don't know if I'm going to be really effective at tapping him out. So I might want to just try to stand up. All this kind of stuff. And it wasn't, none of it was correct. I thought this guy was going to come out and take me down. So I have like this whole fight camp all around, like getting up and on the groundwork and stuff. And then it turns out to stand with me, rocks me on the feet. And then, I end up shooting in because I'm rocked and the guillotine. It just, none of it went the way that I expected. And even there was times where I felt like I could have swept him or submitted him, but I'm like, I'm not supposed to be able to do that to this guy. This guy's never been tapped out ever. So I'm not supposed to be able to tap this guy out. So hesitating. And then afterwards just being like, dude, I think I could have tapped that guy, dude. I should have just went. Who cares what he's good at? Just play me and just go, just get in there and just react. And, it's a very regretful and frustrating thing.
But like you said, you always learn so much from your losses, and it's tough because of your 20 fights, only 3 are losses. So it's tough for you to get those big lessons, especially you don't lose that often. It's very difficult, but well said. And I do like the fact that you were like, I was too busy trying to be anti-Uriah versus pro Michael McDonald, and that's kind of where. But it brings me back to what we were talking about earlier. Number 10 getting the fight number 1 because of the entertainment value. It's almost like Uriah beat you with his entertainment value from his previous fights. Like this, he didn't have to say anything, but you're going back and looking at tape and going, oh, he's got a great guillotine, so I'm not taking him down. He's never been submitted, so I can't submit him. So the entertainment value kind of bled into your mindset. How hard is it to shut out that noise and make it realize, especially during the hype of a fight? We get into that hype portion of the fight. You got to start talking trash, make people want to watch it. How hard is it to this is just verbiage. I'm just saying stuff. He's just saying stuff. The fight's totally different. How hard is it to kind of separate the two?
This is a very, very interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people touch on, which they need to, because it can totally screw your mind up. I'm not going to mention names just because out of respect for the actual fighters, but there's been so many fights throughout history that I feel like people lost before they even got into it because they're fighting people with a lot of hype, and they can't get past the fact that in the media's eyes, they're supposed to lose. And it's a very, very hard thing to kind of face when it's in front of your face for so long. It's like people screaming it at you, who knows, how much effect Nick Diaz could have on some of his opponents from his talking, or Conor McGregor. It's hard to exactly know because some people feed off of it and some people crumble. I know for myself that it just takes my mind off of the actual fight, and so I actually keep very little awareness of what's being said around me, what's going on. I kind of just stick to myself. I'll do what I need to do as my job as a fighter when it comes to my social media work and stuff. But to be very blunt, I don't read any articles at all, even if they're on myself or my opponent. I don't go now. I don't go back and watch videotape. I try to stay in my own little martial arts bubble because that's what made me successful. And the best way I can describe it is everybody has a different mindset, and everybody has a different job in a way they have to keep their mind. My manager, he has to be thinking about my job in profit. He has to be thinking about, is this what is going to make us money right now? Is his timing right? How's his style going to match up with this guy? The media has to think about hype, and they have to think about propaganda and boosting people up. And the UFC, their mindset's on ticket sales, so that's the perspective that they're doing it from. And me as a fighter, I have to have the perspective of, I can beat up anybody in the world. I don't care. And that has to be my mindset. And I have to let everybody else take care of what they do best, and let them kind of stay in their mindset while I just kind of stick in my bubble. That's how I do it.
And that's a smart way to do it. And everyone's got the different way, the different style. I will say this, that pretty much every fighter that's fighting Conor McGregor now will be beat up by the hype before he even gets in. I've seen it happen. Guys that technically wise, athletically wise, should beat him, they're broke. They're broke by the time Bruce Buffer's announcing their name. It's over. And you can see it. You're like, wow, this is amazing how good he is. A lot of guys, when they fought Chael Sonnen, same thing. He beat him up before they get in there. And it was just like, holy crap. Like, you can't believe what he does. It's a great skill to have, but it's not for everybody.
Yes.
Do you sometimes laugh when you go back and read? Because like you say, you don't read during the fights. You go back and laugh at some of the stuff that your opponents have said about you because you're like, it didn't make any sense, and it's out of character for that particular individual. It's almost like they're trying to jump on the hype machine, but they can't really do it because they don't have the skill. It's not their style. It's not their way.
I guess me being not exactly in front of my face. Now that I kind of step back when I occasionally do see it, now I kind of laugh, and when people try it with me or whatever, there's people who, tried to play that card with me, whether they're fighting me directly or they're trying to get fights with me and stuff like that. Now I just kind of laugh, like, this guy seems really desperate, like that poor guy, and now I'm just kind of like, whatever, I guess because I don't normally concern myself with it, so when I see it, it's just like, whatever, I actually don't even go back and like if there's something important on like my Twitter feed, I'll have one of my people that help me out let me know what's going on, So I see so little of it, it doesn't even have the ability to screw with me.
Smart. I like how you work, Mike.
Thank you.
That fight was epic. I'm so glad I got back to my seat right when it started. It was great to watch. That whole card, like I said earlier, was an amazing card top to bottom, but it really was great to see that fight. And Aaron Wani came out and said, your fights, it was a mini Trigg versus Hughes too, with the epic back and forth, and how things were going, and how you caught things, and I got to agree. It really was that way. Like, I really do see that fight having a lot of back and forth, and just amazing your grit and attitude to really be taking a little bit of a lump, be taking a little bit of a beating and going, okay, nope, I'm not done yet. I'm going to find a way out of this. And the wherewithal, because most people when they get hit, like you said with the Uriah fight, you got rocked because you were rocked, you shot because you shot, there was a guillotine. Like you didn't have the wherewithal when you got hurt, then just stick to it and stick with your game plan. This time you got hurt, for me, that was the biggest lesson learned between the two fights, is that now when I get rocked, I don't worry about what my natural reaction wants me to do, which is shoot. I'm going to do what I need to do to maintain and get myself out of this bad position. You did that and end up with a choke. So it's like, I just want to get out of this position because it sucks. Let me get out of here. And all of a sudden, oh, there's a submission. Let me have this. It was great. It was amazing to watch. And really, I can't give you enough props. I can't tell you how exciting it was. I literally, I'm a guy that can fall down a flight of stairs and still have his drink in his hand, like and not spill one drop. And during your fight, I jumped up so fast, I spilled half of it. Thank God the seat in front of me was empty because it went right into the seat in front of me. I was like, oh crap! If someone's sitting there, I would have ruined their back for sure. Like it was so amazing to watch live. So, to me, as a fan, you got me hyped up and got me pumped up, and that's exactly what the UFC wanted. That's exactly what Sean Shelby wanted when he match made this. It's exactly what you wanted to get that bonus. So congratulations.
Thank you. It was that's not at all how I wanted the fight to go. It never is how a fighter likes it to go, to be back and forth. But the end result was great. And like I said, the losses are the ones where you learn the most. The more trouble people give you, the more you learn. So I got the win, I got the bonus, and I got a huge chunk of learning to do that I got from it, which is very valuable. So I'm very excited, even though it didn't go exactly how I wanted.
Last thing before I let you out of here, what are you doing with the bonus money? Is it earmarked for something specific, or are you just going to put it aside and put it into your investment portfolio?
Well, it's hard to say exactly. For one, me and my wife are going to be going to Kenya for 2 years for a mission trip, so that's something that we're going to do. That's really nice. Whatever Lord lays on our heart is what we're gonna do it with. But also, this is we have to put a little bit back into the business aside from living. I want to try to invest as much as I can to, invest in myself and also, in anything else that I find is, a for sure thing. So we'll see exactly how it goes. The Kenya trip for sure. And then I want to do a little bit of recovery thing. There's a couple of companies out there that do put a lot of research and do a lot of really good products for muscle recovery and stuff like that. So I want to put a little bit into that and just reinvest it back in the businesses.
When do you take off for Kenya?
Easter Day is when we're leaving.
Okay, so it's coming up. And you've been gone for 2 years?
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I was like, I thought you said 2 years. Like, what the hell? I knew you were going to Kenya, but all of a sudden I was like, 2 years. Like, what the hell is he thinking? Okay, all right, 2 weeks. So yeah, I want to talk to you just before you take off for that trip. And I want to talk to you again when you come back. My brother lived in Nigeria for a couple of years, working for the government, and it's an experience in Africa. It is a different kind of mentality, different kind of feel, and I want to get your experience, your straight experience on it. So I'll set up through Amanda early and get that worked out.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it so much for coming on. You have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, Frank.